Hello friends, and welcome to today's video where we will be again working with Neocolor II crayons, and our agenda for today is to draw some quick flower sketches. I also have here my cup of tea because here where I live today we had already in the morning, it was really freezing cold. It was -20 degrees Celsius. So that means that I'm dreaming of spring and I'm dreaming of flowers, even though I'm someone who really enjoys winter and loves these beautiful winter days when there's lots of snow and freezing cold outside. But I mean, still, who wouldn't want and need some colorful flower magic in the middle of winter? So I have here some tea, which will be keeping me warm, and I have here some inspirational flower books. I have a sketchbook and some crayons, and it's time to have some Neocolor II flower sketching fun. You can find flower inspiration for today's art either in some of your books or in Pinterest, or whichever platform you enjoy using most. I really enjoy these small books filled with colorful images of different flowers. These are two of my favorite reference books for my arts. So really enjoy using these. But as said, you can use whatever you happen to have at hand, or you can just, follow along and sketch what I will be sketching. I will start sketching some anemones, which I think are such beautiful flowers, and they seem kind of friendly flowers, I feel. So, as said, this will be just quick sketches, very easy to follow along if that's something that you want to do today. Whenever sketching flowers, I really enjoy using, for these quick sketches, I like to use this kind of very smooth paper. And the paper I have here is the Talens Art Creations sketchbook, which I'd say is really wonderful sketchbook for Neocolor IIs. As you know, I enjoy using a bit of a textured paper with these crayons. That's very often my choice. I like to use maybe like a cold pressed watercolor paper for sketching with these crayons, but sometimes it's also a lot of fun to use a bit of a smoother paper and just let the crayons glide. And as you can see, I'm making really kind of quick sketches and quick mark making here. And for that purpose, I really enjoy these art creation sketchbooks, because these are not super expensive, so they are very affordable option, and these crayons glide beautifully on these sketchbooks. So just a kind of recommendation for something affordable and easy to use and perfect for sketching your quick Neocolor flower sketches. But as said, you can use whatever you happen to have at hand today. I always say it's about loving what you already have. You don't have to come up with the wonderful new art supplies all the time. So use whichever paper you prefer using with your crayons, or maybe today is the day when you will test some new paper out which you might have, and you might be wondering if that would be something that works for your crayon arts. I haven't been actually sketching flowers on my channel for a really long time. I think it was maybe last summer when I last posted a video where I did any kind of flower sketches. So I think it was high time to do some of these. What I love about using Neocolor IIs for flowers is that they are so easy. They glide beautifully on paper, and you can make beautiful marks really easily with these crayons, and you can keep your sketches simple and just make the magic happen. Just enjoy the process and see what you can create. So whenever I want to do something quick and just have some relaxing afternoon or morning art session, I'd say that these crayons are perfect for that. As you know, at this stage, you could decide to leave it as it is. You don't have to activate the pigments. You can just as well decide that, okay, today I wanted to just make a colorful sketch, very simple and easy. But since I'm someone who really enjoys the fact that these crayons are water soluble, we will be activating them with water and seeing what happens. Something might happen that might be surprising for us, but most likely it will still be gorgeous. So that's what we'll do next. We'll just take some water. And as said, these are very quick sketches, and that's the idea of today's session. So don't spend too much time on your sketches, just put some color down, enjoy the process, and once you start activating the pigment, let the water do the work, see what happens, see the magic that happens on a paper. Since I am today using a paper which is not really meant for too much water, so this paper can handle a little bit of water but not too much, that means that I am being a bit more careful with the amount of water that I'm adding or using to activate the pigments, and that way I can make sure that the paper is not going to get broken, or the surface won't be too damaged. Don't you just love to see what happens when you activate these colors? I think it's really magical, the kind of effects that you can get, and when you see what the water kind of does, and you can, it's just, you can see the difference that it makes when you add water. By the way, this is also a really good exercise if you are more new to your crayons, if you're someone who is just starting with the world of Neocolor IIs. If you want to see what they can do, these kind of quick sketches are actually a really good place to start, and you can test and see what happens with the different kind of color combinations, and what happens when you add a bit more water or a bit less, and you can really play with the crayons and learn all the fun and wonderful things and opportunities that they bring. You can see for these leaves, I'm not using as much water. I'm just kind of activating them a bit to give the impression, but I want to give them a bit more of the organic shape, and just, let the crayon markings also show. And then while it's still a bit damp with the paper, I'm adding a bit more of these darker tones, just giving it a bit of more definition and some interesting details. Not too much, but just a little. Okay, that was our anemone. The first one is done. And now let's continue and fill the page with some others. But now a bit of a small break for drinking some tea. I was just outdoors and I'm still freezing a bit, so a tea moment, time for tea, and then we'll continue with our next flower. Okay, let's continue, and next I thought it'd be nice to draw some French tulips. Tulips are for me the flower of this kind of winter turning into more to a spring, but still being a winter. So I think tulips are just gorgeous flowers for this time of the year. So that's what I will be drawing next. And they're of course rather easy to sketch, so you can also just enjoy the process and have some fun and relaxing sketching session. And of course I had to make my tulips pink because, well, pink flowers are my favorites. I love pink flowers, and I go and also now use the combination, one of my favorite combinations of Neocolor II crayons, which is pink and purple. I think these two go beautifully together. Love the combination that these create, so I thought this would be also perfect opportunity to use these two crayons together. I will have the colors that I used here listed in the description, so if you want to check out the exact color combos that I use, you can check it out there. But for this flower, the anemones, it was mainly the periwinkle blue, and then different lilac colors, aubergine, violet, and then I have a couple of special editions, so Caput Mortum and Dark Garnet, so those were the keys for these, and then also the light cobalt blue hue. So as said, I have everything listed in the description so you can check it out. Yeah, but back to tulips, I will also use some Sahara yellow, which goes really nice with this combination, giving it a bit of a light so it's not overly pink, although I'm not sure if that could even be possible. Is there such thing as too much pink? I don't know. Yeah, let's add here a third one. Very simple, as said, these will be just very basic little tulips. And then let's use the moss green for these tulips to have their stems, and then we can also add some leaves. Do you have a favorite flower for each season? What flower you like to especially enjoy sketching in some certain time of the year, or flower you just want to have in your home or during a certain time of the year? Flowers are of course very seasonal, and some of them are very much related to certain holidays, for example. I think that's often the case, that people want to have certain flower during certain holiday seasons. For me, I have always some favorites. I love pink roses, those are my favorite flower. But I also really love pink flowers overall. Like, give me a pink flower and I'm happy, no matter what the flower is. So pink flowers, definitely. During Christmas time, I enjoy having white flowers in my home, and then during spring also I think yellow flowers are my favorites as well, and yellow or pink, I like also that combination. So for example, like in these tulips, I think that's a really nice combination of color. I think I want to add a bit of green here to the kind of lower part of the tulips, so they are not just sticking out of those stems, but we can kind of bring them a bit together a bit more. That's a bit more natural looking. And then I want to add a bit more of this purple color to give them a bit more definition. By the way, this is exactly what I love about these crayons, that you can easily use the crayons to add these details and definition, and kind of use them both to the first layer and then to the second layer, and adding also final touches and details. I think that's a lot of fun and a wonderful way to just, you know, add some depth and interest also. We're going to give this one a little bit of a leaf here. It could even be there in the background. Let's see if we use just a little bit of pigment there. We didn't put too much crayon down, and then we can use the pigment that we actually already have here and kind of spread that a bit around. Yeah, that gives a really nice effect. And then I'm going to take some of these lemon yellow and give the leaf some of the sunshine color, because why not? Why not? Let's get back to Sahara yellow as well and give these tulips a bit more of yellow as well. Beautiful. Now let's have another sip of tea and move to the third flower of the day. Once we started to speak about yellow flowers, I decided that the third flower of the day will be yellow freesias, and I think there's just beautifully room here for those. And then also we think about the flow that we will have here on the page. We started from these, so to say, cold and kind of moody colors, a bit of transition to purples, then a hint of yellow, and then we can end the page with loads of yellow sunshine. So I kind of also like that kind of thinking. Okay, time for our yellow freesias. For those I will be using obviously yellow, but then I think I'm also gonna use some orange. Let me think, what else? Maybe also some oranges yellow could come to use, and then the normal set of greens. So what we have here is the chromium oxide green, we have moss green, olive green, and light olive. So those are kind of my go-to greens, as you might know. So let's start by kind of giving the overall sketch, and we're going to use yellow to do that. These freesias will just have a very kind of loose look to them, so we'll just add a loads of kind of a bit like rose-like look to them, and then we'll take it from there. Maybe one also up here, kind of a smaller one like that, and then we can add a bit of this orange to kind of give them a bit of definition. As said, with these kind of flowers which have a bit more of the petals going here and there, it might be a bit more difficult to do the sketching. I would say that these tulips and anemones, they're much easier to construction wise to sketch, but whenever you have a bit more complex, like a rose-like flower, my overall tip for you would be to just sketch what you see. So don't overthink. It looks messy, and that's kind of the point. These flowers are a bit messy, and they are a bit more difficult to kind of get if you start thinking too much. But once you just put them color down, like I've done here, then usually they take their shape. What I will do now is that I'll actually use a larger brush, and I'll just add some water here and there. And I can also move the pigment around and paint the flower as I go. So not kind of activating and mixing everything together, but more like finding the shapes, moving the pigment around, and letting, as you can see, I'm kind of leaving the original crayon markings visible. So I'm not mixing everything together the same way I did with the anemones. So I think this is also kind of a nice thing to notice. There are so many different ways that you can sketch flowers, and I can use the pigment because I have quite a lot of pigment here on the paper. I can use it to also add some more of the petals. These are now nicely actually in a row, so let's do something about that. Let's take some green, and for this I'm gonna go with the chromium oxide green. And what I will do is I'll just add the stems here, putting a bit here and there, like that. And then since the freesias usually they have like we'll add some little buds here as well, so they are not the lonely ones. Yeah, something like this. And I also want to add a bit more of this yellow green which we used here on these stems, so that we can bring the page together a bit. So we used different greens with the tulips and these ones, but now we are again going back to the bright green, so we can, as said, bring the colors a bit together with this within the page. Of course, these are just, you know, minor things and details, but I really want to just share how I think and how I very intuitively create these kind of pages in my sketchbook. That is very much about how I feel and what I feel is good at this point and what I want to include. I think I want to add a bit more depth to these little flowers, so I'm going to actually take the crimson alizarin hue, which is this kind of darker red, and I'm just gonna add it a bit here and there to just give a bit more depth and interest to these little yellow flowers as well. Okay, actually I think I'm pretty happy with this page now. It has the spring-like feeling, a bit more room here. We could have maybe added a bit something more here. It's a bit more crowded on this side, but I'm fine with that. That was the creative flow of the day, and that was the end result. And most of all, the most important thing is that this little sketching session gave a lot of spring inspiration and sunshine in my mind in the middle of winter. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that it inspires you to sketch some flowers, enjoy the different colors and the beautiful colorness of flowers, and also enjoy and explore again your beautiful art supplies. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye for now.